So, well, talking about faith, it's interesting because they say that the association of devotees is what increases faith. And just from doing the Sankirtan festival, being with the devotees for extended kirtan, and then being with them on Harinam, that was you kind of come away feeling your faith has been increased, and also your relationship with the other devotees is more bonding, which is kind of mystical. how you can create faith just by being in a kirtan with a load of devotees that are enthusiastic, and you can connect with them on some level where you feel like that you have a deep relationship with them. That's pretty mystical, isn't it?
Yeah, really mystical. It felt like it was like a Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan, because these are all the Sankirtan devotees that have been going out and actually distributing the mercy.
Yeah.
It felt like it had that kind of mystical element to it, didn't it? Like this is Lord Chaitanya's posse, like this is his crew.
Now the sad thing is, the devotees there, you're wondering, as an older devotee, you're looking and you're thinking, how many times have I seen a bunch of fresh faces like this? And they've got faith right now. Their faith is pure, and they want to be in it for the long haul. They want to do this for their entire life. But at the same time, the reality is that faith will become mixed. Jnana Mishra Bhakti or Karma Mishra Bhakti. How to maintain that purity of faith over a sustained period of time, or do you do you water it down and think, well, you can't be a pure devotee in one lifetime. At least I can't. So I have to just be realistic. And then on the plea of being realistic, you relax that strong hold that you had on the holy name, and you slacken off.
Yeah, how do you resist that compromise? Because like for me, I've been going for 5 years now, and I can just feel like maybe in the past year, like that opportunity to water down my Krishna consciousness has become a lot more prevalent through one reason or another, maybe complacency, offenses, many reasons why that would happen. But like, I'm really wanting now to re-strengthen that, like almost like restart. Like let's go for this again.
Well,
like beginner's mind.
It's not so much that the opportunities become prevalent, because the opportunity was always there. It's just that before you didn't see that as an option, and now you are seeing it as an option. So one of the forms of unsteady devotional service is utsamai, which is false confidence. So we take up devotional service and we think, oh, this is going to be okay, this is going to be easy. And then later on we realize it's not going to be that easy. And then the original enthusiasm that we experienced was based upon false confidence. So now you're realizing, oh, okay, so this is going to take a little bit more than I'd really, bargained on. So, Krishna's quite clever the way he does it. He doesn't let you know all in one go what it is what he wants, You kind of go along for it, and as you're going along, then you start realizing, no, this is actually quite serious. You can't just be messing around and frivolous at the same time. And that may take a few years to realize that. And Krishna, he doesn't want begrudging devotional service done by a person dragging their feet that doesn't really want to be there. So he's saying all the time, do you really want this? Do you really want me? Do you really want to come home this lifetime? And it may be that you don't, for whatever reason.
It's interesting because, like, in those peaks where you do feel like you've really got that pure intention and you have that genuine spiritual experience, like when I've experienced those kind of peaks, then I've made that determination in those moments, like I want to do this, you know, and this that's still there inside me, that when I'm not experiencing that, it's like I know I want to do this, even though right now I don't want to do this. I know I want to do this. So I guess it's important.
It's like the affirmation. I get to chant. I want to chant. I love to chant. So we first of all, it's having that appreciation that I'm getting an opportunity, and then I'm connecting with my aligning myself with my desire. I really want to do this. I actually do really want to do. If I don't do this properly and I give up this lifetime, I'm going to be so fried with myself. So you're aligning with what you really want, and then you're going deep in and saying, actually, I love this, because when you chant nicely, when you do Krishna consciousness nicely, there is nothing better than this. So we want it, and we love it. But we initially have to establish that consciousness that I'm getting an opportunity, and I want this opportunity. I want to take this opportunity, and I want to take full advantage.
I guess
so. Yeah, you have to be careful, because you take your vows, and you commit, and initiation is the beginning. We're actually trying to become qualified now to be disciples. We're not qualified when we receive initiation. We're just qualified to try. So being given an official start, okay, try. And then after we've made that commitment, if we then slacken off after we've made those promises, and then we think, oh, well, actually I didn't really realize what I was taking on, then it gets awkward, you know.
I guess the thing that's for me, like I'm realizing, is like it's not automatic. Like if you become automatic, then you're just gonna your level's just gonna drop. It's like almost like I have to make a conscious move. You have to make a conscious commitment. Almost like when people get married and then they reaffirm their marriage vows. It's kind of like that. It's like I feel like there's a need right now to reaffirm my commitments and like realign.
Yeah.
It seems quite.
Yeah, there's a nice point that comes up in Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani by Shiva Maharaj. He's saying there actually that automatic advancement is one of the most misused phrases in ISKCON, because devotees are just doing this kind of haphazard, inattentive chanting, inattentive devotional service, kind of skimming through the books, and then thinking, well, anyway, I'm doing it, so I'll make automatic advancement. He says, well, you will make automatic advancement when you make an educated effort, which means you have to study the books and you have to implement what you're reading. And he said automatic advancement is not an alternative to educated effort. It has a result of educated effort. So you will make automatic advancement when you fully assimilated all the information in the books and are applying them scrupulously. Otherwise, you're not making automatic advancement.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, because the very word automatic is kind of completely the opposite of doing something devotionally. Like I automatically chanted my rounds and I automatically did my service, so therefore I automatically made a spiritual advancement. No, you only automatically make spiritual advancement when you're doing everything with the utmost attention and with devotion, and that's not automatic.
Interesting. Yeah. So the advancement comes automatically as a result of
not being automatic.
Yeah, of not being automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so easy to fall into the automatic mode.
Yeah. And it's so easy to just go for easy. The path of least resistance is always the most appealing, because it seems like it won't take much effort and it'll save time. But it ends up taking more effort and taking more time. So the path of least resistance is misleadingly easy, but actually it's not. It's only misleading you into think it's going to be easy, but actually it isn't. You know, you find out later on when you're married and you've got 15 kids that it would have been easier to have controlled your senses. But if you just give in with everything and just go along whimsically, Niyamagraha is interesting. Niyamagraha means completely over the top fanatical or completely whimsical. But either one does not understand what the rules and regulations are there for in the first place anyway.
So how do we...
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Prajapati Amagraha. So these are all things which will spoil the way. So there it is, even before Rupa Goswami starts talking about the good things, right away he's saying control your senses, be a guru, and then right away he's saying, by the way, this is going to ruin your chances. Overeating, speaking prajalpa, not understanding why we follow rules and regulations, hanging out with people who are worldly minded. So he's not even talking right now about being enthusiastic. He's just saying, okay, these are the... So it's almost like it's guaranteed you're going to end up involved in these things. So first of all, get free from those things. Now, when you get free from those things, then we can look at being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, and being patient. But let's get rid of the nonsense first.
Yes.
So it's so clear, but it's like, do we really want to understand that? Do we really want to apply what we're hearing? we could read something and think, oh, I really believe that. But that doesn't get you off the hook. You could really believe it's a good idea to chant attentively. But there's no guarantee you are going to chant attentively. Isn't that amazing? That the whole crux of the matter, whether you're going to end up slackening off and not doing pure devotional service and not going back this lifetime, it's just whether you're going to chant attentively or inattentively.
And it seems so simple, right?
Yeah, it's... Prabhupada said, be careful with this Krishna consciousness. It's so simple that you could miss it. That's the problem, because we're looking for a really complicated answer or a really complicated excuse. Probably more like it, a really complicated excuse for justifying why I can't go back to Godhead this lifetime, why I can't be a pure devotee.
Yeah, and we'll get that intelligence for that excuse if we need it. Like Krishna will give us the justification we need.
Yeah, absolutely. So that you can carry on with your independent desires. Krishna will facilitate it. It's okay. Well, look, maybe you need this situation, then you can go off and go and do your thing.
So, like at the beginning, you said that in order to have pure faith and not get mixed, we have to associate with those people that have pure faith, right? Is that the answer? Is that the answer?
Well, what's far out about kirtan is that in the kirtan there may be a predominant amount of kanishtas that are in the kirtan, but because the kirtan is like because we do it congregationally, it builds up such a charge, such a potency that we transcend all our foibles and disabilities and lack of faith and everything else, and we're transported as a body into a different realm where we're directly perceiving the reality of the spiritual energy, and we're all experiencing and because we're experiencing it together, it has a powerful bonding effect. They say that when all the soldiers would meet up, they'd all be in a war together, and then they'd go off and carry on with their normal lives, and then they'd have these reunions 30, 40 years later, and they'd be crying their eyes out in tears when they met each other, and they'd be surprised because they'd be thinking, and I've never really thought about you since the war. But what had happened is during the war they'd bonded very, very deeply, and then they hadn't really acknowledged that fact. But then when they came back in the presence of each other, then they realized how deep the relationship had actually gone. And kirtan is like that, it's like, it's so powerful. You're bonding with all these devotees. If anything happens to any of these devotees, if they give up devotional service, it'll be very upsetting to you, because you've become attached to seeing them now going back to Godhead. And they're also the same, that they've become attached to seeing you So imagine if we were having regular 3-hour kirtans, every month, all the devotees meet up somewhere in the center, so everybody has to drive equal amounts, and we all meet up in the center of the UK, and we do kirtan for 6 hours together. I mean, that's going to be so powerful,
Yeah, I personally think that's one of the secrets between with the Welsh Yatra as it is. We have these every single Sunday, extremely powerful, like Tarkanath Kirtans, which are very serious and structured, and everyone has their position in the kirtan. Some are dancers, some play this instrument, some play that instrument, but it's all with the same mission, the same prayer ultimately, and that's one thing I realised how attached I am to the Welsh boys. Like in this marathon, like Vamsi, he didn't collect the most, but he did collect the most, but he ended up coming second, and it like affected me on one way. Like I was like, that's my friend, and I feel like because he's been this hasn't added up correctly, and you know what I mean. Not to get political, but like
he did win it. He did win it because he collected the most Lakshmi, and for street distribution he did the most books. And we should change the scoring system round. I've been saying it for years. We should have one separate category for Lakshmi, one separate for books, and if it's contact, whether you've done 60% or whatever you've done, you're in the contact group. Either single or group. That's it.
Yeah, but it was just nice to see that. Have that connection with Vamsi, because when we're in Wales, we're like
there's a few things that went on with that score actually, because I saw that Vamsi wasn't that affected, and I thought that's a good sign, that he's becoming mature, because that is a huge obstacle. Is when you're really good at Sankirtan and you're at the top, that's fine, and then after a while you can't maintain it. Some can't maintain it, and then it can be a huge deterrent for them that they lose the desire to continue on. But to me, it looked like his depth of fulfillment, it goes beyond just being number one. He's just committed to wanting to work hard to please Tarkanath. There's a deep relationship there. He likes what Tarkanath is doing. He likes the whole ethos of the project, and he wants to give his heart and soul to it while he's young. And irrespective of whether he's number 1 or number 500, that's like a minor consideration. So I thought that was good to see that he had that maturity.
Definitely, yeah. That's the thing. Like, he knows he won. He won the Welsh Marathon. Every year we say that the Welsh Marathon is the marathon. So like, if you win the Welsh Marathon, then you've won.
The idea of the Sankirtan festivals, we want the devotees to identify as being part of the UK Yatra. We want to see them as all one body, And okay, we have our specialized fields, like you have Thunderbirds. You probably never saw Thunderbirds, but there was one guy he was number 5, and he was in the space station. He had these big glasses, and he was never there we used to have these like far out parties on the island that they all stayed on, and everyone was there chilling out, drinking champagne, and he was just stuck up in the thing, but he was also an important part of the whole ISKCON, the whole Thunderbirds. So we need to see ourselves like that we're the Thunderbirds, Lord Chaitanya's Thunderbirds, and we've all got our different spaceships that we're doing things in, but we work as a team. It's going to be so much more powerful if we can learn to do this, to connect rather than isolate ourselves. Because that's where the Gaudiya Math went wrong, is that they didn't have a GBC, so they just have the Acharya and they have their mat. And if you go along the Jalangi, there's hundreds of mats. And if you look on the other side of the Jalangi, there's one massive Vedic planetarium. And you see the difference. If you just want to all do your own thing in your little groups, you'll do something. But if you can work together collectively, then you'll achieve so much more,
Yeah, for sure. And that's it. Kirtan unites, definitely.
Yeah, it does. It breaks down the barriers. And, and I felt like I didn't feel like, it's those weirdo Mala devotees again, but I felt like, wow, I really like these guys. I love these guys. They're trying hard, and they're young. I want to try and help them. I want to offer advice and any type of education I could to assist them so that they don't get caught up in the obstacles that will be there in front of them, during the course of their progress in spiritual life.
Is there anything that, on that point of overcoming obstacles, is there anything for you in your experience of going through obstacles, is there something that you can keep in the center? Like, is there something that's kept you locked on and helped you get through the 30, 40 years, however long you've been?
Yeah, what happened was Bhagavan, my first spiritual master, left. And so this voice is screaming in my head, saying, this is your best chance. If you ever wanted to give up, now you've got the best excuse in the world. Your guru's left, what more can I expect from you? And at that time, they had a program called UKLM, which was UK Life Membership. And it was all Indian devotees. And they could say it was quite upset. It was in the old Prashadam hall at the manor. At that time, I was working from the manor. I was a second devotee at the manor. And they came over, and I think it was Radha Damodar. He says, is everything okay? And I says, well, no, not really. And he says, always remember to take shelter of the process. And it just really hit me hard, that the process doesn't go away. Whatever else comes and goes, the bead bag is still there. Srila Prabhupada's books are still there. There's always some prashadam there and some service to do. So that's the process. We follow that. And people may come and people may go, and it's a shame if they do. But still, I'm going to chant. I'm going to continue on. There was this film. He was a famous racing car driver, and he was telling his friend, when somebody crashes and there's a fatality, he says, the way I win the races, he says, all the other cars slow down. He said, but that's the point where I speed up, and that's how I win the races. So it's like that a little bit in devotional service. When you feel yourself slackening off because something's become very discouraging, that's actually when you need to intensify, not slow down, not slacken off. You have to see that, oh my God, I really need to take shelter now then. I really need to get serious about my chanting,
Would you say that was your closest call when your spiritual master left, in terms of?
Well, that wasn't the first one. Then what was worse was that the next spiritual master I took, he was saying how, Bhagavan made this mistake, Bhagavan made that mistake. I won't be making that mistake. I won't be doing it. I was thinking, oh, great, okay, well, we should be fine now, And then he left. But by that time, I was starting to notice a common theme that was coming through all this, was that if you keep reading Srila Prabhupada's books, then any doubts or problems you have will get answered by Prabhupada, because you're in a conversation with Prabhupada when you're reading his books. So as you're reading them, some statement will really strike you, and you'll realize the Prabhupada's trying to tell you something. And then maybe sometimes you'll read it here, and then you'll read the Bhagavad Gita, and the same point comes up again, and then you'll read Nectar of Devotion, the same point comes up again, and then you'll hear Prabhupada speaking in a lecture, and the same point will come up again. You realize Prabhupada's telling me something here, okay. And as long as you can always keep that connection with Srila Prabhupada as the the founder, Acharya, the preeminent Shiksha Guru of everybody, then that will guide you through. That's the lighthouse that doesn't fail, that will guide you through the storm. So you have to keep focused on that lighthouse, even though the weather may get very disturbing and very distracting.
It's quite funny. I had one of those this morning. A Prabhupada speaking to me, like I got these like these kettlebells. Like I like lifting weights and stuff. And this morning I didn't get to do it, and I just opened Sri Upanishad, and I just read wherever I was at, and it said Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill without lifting weights. And it was it was like, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe it's not such an important thing.
Well, synchronicity, and also sometimes just holding the books and saying a prayer, and then opening the book, and wherever the book opens, read that and see what Krishna's telling you. You know, I've done that a few times, and that's been amazing. Some of the times, some of the things that I've read in the books have just been amazing. It's like, okay, Krishna's speaking to me now. You know.
Yeah, I think there's also an art to that some people are bestowed with. Like Krishna learns that when he goes and gets trained by, is it Sandy Pandi Muni? He trains him the art of reading omens, and it's like I've always been attracted to that kind of like tarot cards and this kind of like taking signs from everywhere. So you can do that with Prabhupada's books on one level, you know what I mean? Not all the time, but there's an art to it.
You'll see the signs and you'll hear the messages if you can just maintain that faith. It's how to hold on to your faith, because if you have pure faith, then it means you're rendering pure devotional service. As soon as your faith starts to weaken or become shadowed over, then it means you can't render pure devotional service anymore.
Just a quick one, but some people may not know what pure faith is and what mixed faith is. You have it, you know, like it's in Shuddha Bhakti Chintani.
Yeah.
You could shine some light on that for people that
yeah, well, there's Jnana and there's Karma Mishra Bhakti. So if you've been doing Sankirtan for 5-10 years and you start to think, when am I going to get some money out of this? You know, I need facility for myself, and you start wanting to use the money that you're collecting for yourself. Or Jnana Mishra, that you've been doing it and you're hoping by now that you're going to be feeling some peace of mind, some liberation from the comings and goings and the responsibilities, and so you want to take a step back from being so much in charge or managing things, and so that's Jnana Mishra. You're trying to lead a carefree existence, and you no longer want to take on that anxiety for Krishna. And if you can push through those two tendencies, that fruitive one and that one for looking for the carefree, anxiety-free merging into the bliss of some kind of spiritual level of consciousness, then that will compromise your pure devotional service. You'll not want to go out of your little comfort zone. Just stay there, accumulate, and liberate. But with pure bhakti, your spiritual master's instructions are your life and soul, and and he's in the center. You want to please him. As long as you can please him, then you're happy. If you don't please him, then whatever it is you get, you're not going to be satisfied.
And what, because you were saying these younger devotees come in and they've got pure faith, they're on that level. What causes the other mixtures to creep in?
There's 6 things. One is utsamai, false confidence. So they, because they're overconfident with themselves, then they neglect to be attentive in how they're practicing and how they're chanting. Then there's a Gana Tarala, which is fighting with sense enjoyment, Vayuddha Vikalpa, mental vacillation, Taranga Ranjani, enjoying facilities that come along, and then something agrama, which is the inability to follow vows. You make a commitment and then you break it, and there's another form again. So these are all like the remnants of having a bad conditioning, being conditioned in the material world for a long time. Then we take to devotional service, and then we realize, oh, I've got all these really, really bad habits and tendencies, and how am I going to safeguard myself against these? And just like if you're gardening, you'd have to study what weeds look like, because sometimes weeds don't look like weeds, that they look quite nice, and you're thinking, well, it doesn't seem to be a weed, and if it is a weed, it doesn't seem like such a bad weed anyway. So you may have tendencies there, and if you're not aware that they're going to be detrimental, then you may cultivate them. And then the little flower that you're trying to grow is surrounded by all these weeds, and then you suddenly realize, oh my God, these are weeds. And they're taking all the nourishment that's meant for my little flower, my Bhakti-lata beej. My Bhakti-lata beej is gasping because it can't get any of the water. And these weeds are just shooting up everywhere, you know.
And that the holy name is like the best watering can, isn't it? So.
Well, The holy name is interesting because there's 10 offenses. There's actually 11 offenses to the holy name. And all 11 offenses can be destroyed by attentive chanting. So really, all the problems are due to the fact that we're inattentive when we're chanting. As soon as you're inattentive when you're chanting, it means the watering can, which is supposed to go on the rose, is going all over the weeds. And then after 2 hours of that, the weeds are looking pretty healthy, and the rose is gasping.
Scary, really, isn't it?
It is scary, yeah. You should be like, when you pick your bead bag up, you should be petrified, because you're so close now. Prabhupada said, don't turn back, you're on the threshold of immortality. So it's like walking 12,000 miles, and then you've just got one more foot to go, and that 1 foot is through the door to Vaikuntha. And then just as you're about to take the 1 foot toward the door to Vaikuntha, you think, oh no, this is too much. And you go back and you think, Christ, I've just gone 12,000 miles, and it's 1 more foot, and it's too much to go 1 more foot, and I'm going to go back.
Don't go back.
Just got to do this one step, and get out the door once and for all. So don't turn back now. You're so close, Just try and tolerate whatever it is, whatever you're feeling attached to, whatever weakness is there. Like in Srila Bhakti Chintamani, there's that story at the end where the devotee, he'd been practicing for some time and he was losing his taste, and he was wondering whether he should get married. And then his mentor was saying to him, look, just recommit yourself to the process. Start coming strictly on time for the morning program. Start reading more attentively, chanting better. And then he did that, and then he went clean through it, So that is a phenomenon that Shiva Maharaj has observed, is that's the way it goes in ISKCON, is the devotees' material desires come up, he gets married, and then he slackens off. Everything goes down the chute, and then he says, oh, well, I've got the kids to look after, and I need to get a job to look after the wife nicely and pay the mortgage. And then you see him once a week, and then it's just once every Rath Yatra, and then sometimes not even that anymore, Yeah, so be careful. You have to be careful. Don't slacken off. Don't take the mind too seriously. Keep the goal. Keep focused on the goal. And if you do have a few material desires and they need to be fulfilled, then fulfill them in as least distracting way as you can, and still keep the goal in sight, and still be convinced, still have that pure faith that you can do this, you can go back to God at this lifetime. Prabhupada said it, all I've got to do is follow the regs, chant 16 rounds attentively, and cooperate with the Sankirtan and the leaders. Okay, great. So I'll leave it there. Thank you, sir. It was a bit of a heavy one, wasn't it?
Nah, that's what we needed to hear, that's all.